Welcome to Talking Parra, week 20, episode 20. Obviously got a big review of the Parramatta-Penrith game, and then obviously we'll preview this week's game against Manly at Brookvale Oval. We're a bit short tonight, just like the Penrith Panthers this week. We're missing a couple of stars. So it's just me and Hayden. So it's not actually Talking Parra tonight. It's the Adam and Hayden show. So welcome to the Adam and Hayden show.
Welcome everyone to week 20. Week 20, we're in the final couple rounds, and the boys hit some form last week, didn't they?
Yeah, wonderful. Right, well, obviously there's a lot to talk about. It's been a pretty jam-packed week with rugby league news, not just Parramatta news. We've got a cough for a second. Let's start back at last Friday night. Obviously a pretty comprehensive 34-10 win to Parramatta. Look, there's a lot to discuss. People say we're disappointed we only won by 24 points. Hayden, I'll get your thoughts on the game first of all, because I've got a lot to say and a lot of questions to ask and a lot of points to be made. Just kind of, I won't say it that meanly, but it's to shut a lot of people up in a way. So you go ahead first.
I think I'm fairly similar to you. I think that I kept saying in my vlog, and I kept saying, like, this second half we haven't looked threatening, which is a worry, but we've controlled the game. We've done things right. Obviously went into halftime at 30 points to 4. You don't really need to do much in the second half. You've seen a lot of teams this year kind of not blow that lead, but I think the Sharks, for example, leading 30-10, I think it was, against Manly, and ended up being about 30-22. So it felt like people were bagging us out in that same way, but we kept the Panthers to one try. They won the second half in points, but defensively we were quite good. I definitely think that our attack needs work going into this week, but for the most part, it was a great game of footy. I think the game changed when Gutherson actually gets to that ball first and forces a dropout rather than a try. You see how fast Talon May and Isaac Targo get to those balls off those kick chases, and I thought for Gutho to actually be there, I said, look, this is a game that I think we can win for that exact moment. And let's not forget, we'll obviously speak a lot about it tonight, I'm sure, but Nathan Cleary being sent off the field about 17 minutes in. People say that Parramatta lose this game if Nathan Cleary plays. Let's not forget that Parramatta were actually leading 12 points to 4. We were already up by 8 points. Nathan Cleary had attempted at kicking a 40-20, pretty close to me where I was sitting as well, but missed it. So Mitchell Moses went, you know what, hold my beer, and decided to kick one. We saw a second one in the second half, which we'll speak about because obviously it didn't get the result that we wanted from that one, a bit of a wasted opportunity. But yeah, really good game from Clint Gutherson. But for me, I know we say it a bit later on, but I want to give a rap, and he's probably my man of the match, to Reid Marnie. I got to have a post-chat interview, and I said, are you looking forward to these last few weeks of the club? And he said, I said, these 5 weeks. I wasn't expecting a week one finals exit or anything. I just said it, and he happened to say, I'm here for 9 weeks. I'm here to win a premiership on camera. So, yeah, a lot of energy about the boys, and you love to see it. Obviously, Campbell Gillard being snubbed from Origin. He was up for a huge game. Our forwards really laid the platform, and a really good bench, really solid. And Tom Opacek defensively came up with some really good decisions. It was just a really good team performance overall. And to know that Mitchell Moses played that second half with a broken finger and kicked a 40-20, mind you, is absolutely madness. So, yeah, I'll hand it over to you for a bit.
Yeah, wonderful. I'll go through it. Like I said, it's one of the things that's frustrating me is people saying, if Nathan Cleary's would have lost the game, they would have controlled the game. Look, we were on top in that game from the moment they ran out. Like, even their first try, I didn't think they really deserved, to be honest. Obviously, I actually can't even really remember the try. I'm guessing they just stripped us for numbers in there on that left-hand side. But in my opinion, it was very close to – it was actually good old-fashioned. He caught the ball on the inside shoulder of 2 defenders, so off that block play. I thought they were lucky to get that one. I don't know why it wasn't checked. But after that, we were just in control of the game. 12-4, obviously the pivotal moment he gets sent off. We'll touch more on the send-off eventually, but the try we scored that set, and this is what was impressed me throughout the game, wasn't a try we couldn't have scored if they had 13 players on the field. Not once did we try and beat them down the edges on the outside. We played them. We went with the plan. The plan was to play them through the middle, obviously, to beat them in the forwards. And then when we get to that good ball, obviously use it if we need to. That try we scored to Reid was a classic try we could have scored, but they had 30 on the field. So I think, let's say in a different world, the NRL goes soft. They don't send off Cleary for a clear send-off. Right? They don't send him off. We got the other end. We get the ball back off the penalty. It's going to be a penalty no matter what. And we score a try. They were ahead 18-4. We'd have to play pretty bad for Penrith to come back and win that game. I personally believe if Cleary stayed on the field, if that moment never happened, we still would have won the game by the amount of points we did. I think we're on. I just think it was one of those games we were on for. We were up for it. They went missing. They haven't got a lot to prove, Penrith. I know now they do, obviously missing Cleary and missing Luai, but it wasn't a game they looked at and thought mentally, we have to win this game. We looked at that game and thought, shit, we need to win this game. We need to win 3 of our last 6 games, whatever it is. 6 games we've got around 20, so we've got 7. It was 7 games, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Simple maths. We knew we needed to win. We knew we needed to bounce back, so we were on from the start. And it proves obviously, the ice try was a bit of individual brilliance, but yes and no, we've been kicking to those corners, not those corners, but you'll see most teams kick to your centres and wingers. We've been aiming for our second rowers all year. We see it quite often to Sean Lane. We mix up and come to the right side. Look, a big man like Isaiah should be able to jump like he did, but he got the ball down and it showed the urgency to score. The next try, obviously, was a great pass to Sivo. He stopped and almost overran it and almost screwed it, but was obviously strong enough to get the ball down the end as well. So they're the tries we scored against 13 men. You look at the next try, like I said, a simple little wrap-around play there for Reid to score. Then Reid dives over from dummy half. Once again, can happen with 13 on the field. I know they were probably looking to cover that shift to the left where Cleary would stand. And then the other try to Gutho, which probably happened before that. But anyway, the try to Gutho where he put the grubber through, that was probably a bit of luck. I think Gutho actually tripped over and fell on the ball after they both missed it. But you look at those tries, none of those tries are tries that could have been not been scored if they had 13. We're just playing smart football and playing through the middle. We have the blueprint to beat Penrith. We've shown other teams how to beat Penrith. I just wish we were playing Penrith every week. Look, obviously we'll go to it now. We'll go to the key moment, the Nathan Cleary send-off. I don't think many people in the stadium realised how bad it was straight away. I was
one of those people. I was sitting in the crowd thinking, look, this could be a sin bin. It could also be on report. But upon watching the replay on the screen, you could see just how bad it was. And that's when the crowd started to, I think after 2 plays on screen, that's when the crowd started to get rolled up. And I'll tell you what, if you're watching, I do apologise, but there was a Panthers fan on my tipping video, on the vlog, who said that I want to be honest to everyone that it was half Panthers, half Eels at this stadium, and that the Panthers fan contested with our atmosphere. But I didn't write a comment back, but here's my comment to you, that is absolute bullshit.
If there was 1,000 Penrith fans, I'll be surprised, to be honest. Out of the 27,000, if there was 1,000 or 1,500 Panthers, I'll be surprised. We obviously went to the Parramatta Penrith game at Penrith earlier in the year, sat near each other. And even at that ground, there was probably a third of the ground with Parramatta supporters. And I didn't realise probably till the end. And look, we've got the video, mate. If you want us to put the video up on our page, we will. We'll give you some memories of what was it, about 7 minutes ago on that Parra chant we ran around. It was goosebumps. That was obviously at Penrith earlier in the year. But back to this game. I saw it live and I realised how bad it was live. And I was on my feet straight away. And I turned to my dad and I turned to the people next to me and said, he's going to go here. Look, I didn't realise it was Cleary straight away. As soon as I saw the replay and I saw it was Cleary, I thought he's not going to go because it's Nathan Cleary. I thought he'll probably get sin-binned. I obviously thought it was a send-off based on the NRL's got the agenda this year. Their focus is spear tackles. There's no doubt about that. Their focus definitely isn't dropping the elbows onto someone's head, which we learnt, or forearm, whatever you want to call it. But based on the Carl Lawton one, he had to go. And he spoke about the crowd. Obviously, the off chant was up after the 1 or 2. Then when they called him out, I have never experienced a more raucous, whatever it is, atmosphere at a Parramatta game. They wanted blood, didn't they? The crowd was up. He had to go. If he didn't go, if he went for 10, I wouldn't want to be Nathan Cleary the rest of the game. That's for sure.
Well, the thing is, I think, I can't remember which game it was, but there was a tackle very similar, or it might have even been last year, where Andrew Johns basically warned Nathan Cleary about these situations. So a lot of people saying, and Gus Gould coming out saying that these type of suspensions need to be downgraded to shorter terms. But I'll tell you what, when you've got a player, he's talented and he's great, Nathan Cleary, but when you've got a player who's doing things like that repetitively, something's just come up on my computer and I can't close it. There we go. I'm back on the screen. That was really annoying, Nan's pop-up system. But anyway, what I was saying there is that Nathan Cleary made a tackle very similar, had the opportunity, was granted no suspension, given that kind of warning. So it kind of showed that the NRL had to not only send him from the field, but serve this type of long suspension, which is why Penrith premierships have been thrown into a bit of a bag right now.
Yeah, and I'll say one thing more about it. I'll say, look, I don't think there was any intent in the tackle, but you can't put your hand between the legs, and as soon as you pick up, you risk that happening. I do want to give Nathan a rap, though, for the way he's handled it. He was the first bloke to apologise when he made the tackle, and we saw on the field the respect the Paramount players had for him because, look, let's be honest, that was James Fisher-Harris. Junior's coming in, put one on his chin for sure. They showed him, obviously, a lot of respect there. Put his hand up to his team on the way out, put his head down. He knew he'd made a mistake, didn't look up at the crowd or anything. Obviously, put something on social media straight away, apologising for the incident. But who I want to give a rap is Ivan Cleary as well. And actually Isaiah Yeo as well. They've all handled themselves really professionally because I watched the post-match interview, the post-match press conference. And imagine your son's just got sent off. We know he's not getting his Macca's Happy Meal on the way home for one. But your son's, the situation you've got to go in, not only he's your halfback your team, one of the best players in the world at the moment, but he's your son, and you've got to go in an interview. How hard would it be to not defend him? And Ivan didn't defend him. He said he knows he's made a mistake. He goes, we know we're going to be missing him for a while, and we've got to wear that. And to his credit as well, he said, look, obviously they've been through that in origin period. I think it's a bit of a different situation approaching finals now, but they've got the players ready to go. And journalists being journalists, I said to Isaiah, but Isaiah, you went up and argued it. You went up and argued the call. And he goes, no. He goes, I've got to do what I've got to do as a captain. He goes, I was just trying to convince him. But he goes, I knew he was going. So, there's obviously not a lot of love lost between Paramount and Penrith, especially after last year. But I just want to give him a pat on the back for how they handled it. And I want to give Ivan one more rap. I know this is a Parramatta podcast, but we'll get to the second half soon. But before we get to it, I want to give him one more rap. Smart coaching, and this is what we talk about. I know we ask questions about Brad Arthur all the time. I know Parramatta fans are everywhere, but smart coaching by Ivan Cleary. What he did when he lost his halfback, for that first 10, 15 minutes they struggled, but in the second half, what he did was he took his front rowers off, obviously the big man there in it's not Regan Campbell, wow, he's not there anymore. What's his name?
Isaiah Yeo or
I forgot their front rower's name.
Spencer Lenu, Moses Leota,
and they're James Fisher-Harris. That's all the compound names. They're throwing me out again. James Fisher-Harris as well. He took them off for a period of the game. He took away playing a lock position and played Isaiah Yeo in the front row and brought Sorensen on in the front row as well. What that did for Penrith, with inexperienced halves out there, because he put Semen on to 5'8" instead of having the lock there, or half, whatever you want to call it, what it did was made them a lot more mobile through the middle. It gave Api Korosia pretty much a chance to run the show. And everyone goes, oh, look, that's why they were running, they were killing us through the middle. Well, that's the reason why. We still had big men on the middle of the field, front rowers. They went to pretty much second rowers and mobile lock forwards, playing in the front row. Yeah, look, when we got Junior and we got Reg back on, we started powering back through them again. For that period of game, it was all down to smart coaching by them.
I was going to mention that. You've taken the words out of my mouth. I mentioned our
absolutely brilliant. He's just set the blueprint. If you lose any of your outside backs, if you lose any of your, let's say you lose your half, you lose your fullback, or you can even if you lose your hooker, he's just shown everyone what to do when you go down to 12 men in a game. It's just coaching genius, to be honest. Everyone's talking about coaches coming through and if they're ready for first grade and all this kind of stuff. Well, Ivan's obviously he's been around quite a while now, but it was genius. I had no words for it. And look, we can talk about our second half performance now because obviously a lot of people said, oh, we should have been going for blood. We should have been trying to throw the ball around. For and against is everything at this time of year. But my personal opinion is we played the right style. I'm taking no discredit away from Penrith and how they played, but we needed to stick to what our guns were. We went in with a plan to play through the middle. This is my opinion as well. It's so unrealistic playing against 12 men. I think for this week's game against Manly, we needed to stick to what we did. It would have been so easy to just take 3 up the middle, set ourselves either side of the post and look for that extra number. We didn't throw the ball around. We didn't do anything stupid. And, we played low percentage football, but we had the game won. That's all we had to do. And you saw it. I saw it after their try. Gutho was sitting there behind the goals just going like this, back and forward, back and forward. That's all we've got to do is finish the game off. You risk no injuries. Obviously, at that stage, we didn't know Mitchell was carrying an injury in the second half. you risk no injuries, and you set yourself up for next week. It's like we wanted to get ourselves into an arm wrestle with him, so we knew we could do it. Your thoughts?
I was going to say, I could tell Mitchell was carrying an injury when it happened. From where I was sitting, I saw the trainer go to Mitchell, wrap around his fingers. So I said to Dad, shit, because I was with my dad for this game, shit. I don't know if Mitchell's coming back. He said, no, we got 10 minutes left in this first half. He's going to be all right. He's going to be all right. Maybe next week. So Dad's a genius at that rate. But yeah, I think the big thing, we don't see it too much. We always said that kind of kick to the throat, but we had those kicks to touch that kind of took off the clock as well. Not the 40-20 type, just simple kick out play. Penrith get the ball back. They get a couple sets. And look, they got themselves into some attacking opportunities, Penrith. They were able to score points through Liam Martin in that second half, one try. But yeah, you're right. We stuck to a very good style of gameplay to grind out the win, and it was that grind of game. Kind of like that game against the Roosters. I don't know. Between this game and the game against the Roosters at Bankwest, I feel like are probably our two performances of the year, in my opinion. Obviously, the Dragons, we put a huge score on them. But in regards to winning gritty, especially against the Penrith Panthers, who have been a dominant force, and what we were able to do, I think even though both of those games we struggled to score points in the second half, we just worked out a way to get the job done. And it kind of reminds me of that attitude against the Panthers last season in the finals. There were no points in the second half besides, was it halftime? Was it 6-6 or was it 8-6? I can't remember. But
I can't even remember. I try to.
Yeah, but there's
only one thing I remember about that game, and it was the trainer has asked for the game to be stopped.
What about Jerome Luai holding Mitchell Moses
yeah,
back? We're not even getting into that.
And the high shot missed in front. Let's not go back there. We've been there. I'll give credit as well to I'm giving Penrith fans. The Penrith fans in front of me who were up, clapping around, looking at everyone when Penrith scored the first one. And their mum turns to mum and goes, "We're going to win this game comfortably, mum." She was about 30. Mum would have been about 60 or 50. I'll give them credit. I put nothing but shit on them for 70 minutes, and they stayed until about 3 minutes ago. So good on you, good fans. I've had that many cheap shots at them. I'm not even going to lie. My favourite was when they're talking about when Nathan Cleary's been sent off, and what are you going to do now? I said, don't worry, you'll be right. I said, the rest of the players that play for New South Wales will be fine. She goes, why? I said, they played without him in game 3. So yeah, once again, a classic moment for Adam. Never short of a cheap shot. Let's get to the Mitchell Moses injury. Obviously, like I said, it happened in the first half when he just put that little chip and chase and whatever attempt was through. Probably a bit unnecessary chip when Edwards was already backtracking. Probably could have ran around him. But he's caused himself an injury. They're saying 3 weeks, round 24. He's had surgery. Obviously, it's a pretty decent break. I believe it come down to his gripping the ball abilities, why he had to have surgery. I personally believe we'll bring him back when we have to. He obviously played a second half with it. I think the results will depend on,
kicked a 40-20 with it in that second half. Obviously,
yeah, exactly right. And he wasn't shy. It wasn't like he wasn't looking for the ball as well. He was involved. Obviously, we've got Manly this week at Brookie, which is going to be a challenging game. We'll get into that a bit later. But we've got, South Sydney, then Canterbury. It looks like we've probably got to win 2 games out of the final 5 to make the 8. If Moses is back round 24 and we've already won those 2 games, it's possible you think they'd leave him till the week after. But saying that, it all just kind of depends on as well where that top 4 spot sits as well, because obviously finishing top 4 or trying to finish 5th or 6th is a huge opportunity for a home semi-final. So I feel like
I think if we win this week and against the Rabbits, that we'll see Mitchell Moses get that kind of rest and week off. We'll probably train up against the Bulldogs. Not saying the Bulldogs are a weak opposition at all. They're in some great form, playing some good footy. They put 30 points on us, but I feel like that clash against the Broncos, especially being up there at Suncorp Stadium, that's a clash you're going to need Mitchell Moses back for, whether it's a top 4 spot or even a top 8 spot that we're fighting for. We will see him back for that game. But look, I think if we probably lose and drop that game to the Rabbits next week, which I haven't got my tip and you haven't seen the team, but I know it's going to be a tough game. If we lose that game, I think we could see Mitch rush back against the Bulldogs the following week.
Yeah, you think so. Like I said, it's probably one of those things you can push through with a bit of strapping. But like I said, if we can somehow win the next 3 games, I think you might see him obviously miss that Brisbane one. Obviously, it'd be great to get him back for the last round, just for that preparation going into the finals, especially if there's a top 4 there. Some other key moments the week away from the field. See the Marty Tapau rumour floating around. We're going to sign Marty Tapau. Look, I know why Manly squashed that one. They wouldn't have wanted him to play this week. It was obviously a bit too close to home. They are still one of the clubs fighting for a top 8 spot as well. We'll go to Newcastle. I don't know if this is more poor management from our club or the Knights and Adam O'Brien have just been absolute fucking wankers. But we've seen Clemmer drop from Newcastle this week for abusing a trainer. Yet Newcastle wouldn't release him to come to us. Yet he wants out of his contract anyway, which you'd think if he wanted to come to us, it's most likely possible he's going to come to us next year. Super weird situation. The Knights, I know they're trying to avoid a spoon, but I guess they kind of thought if they lost Clemmer, he wasn't going to come back. We've seen the other loans to Melbourne with Nofaluma going obviously down to Melbourne. And the Tigers, we wanted to come back with that experience because obviously being at the Tigers, he's never played finals football. Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? And but with Clemmer, like I said, if he's causing that much trouble up here, he clearly doesn't want to be here anymore. He's probably been the Knights' best forward all year. He's been well above the Safidi brothers. He's been in great form. I know he's a bit older, but he would have been huge for us off the bench. Like we know we've lacked that impact. I just don't know why we couldn't get a deal done. When we were looking for a player for the last 5-6 weeks, whatever it was, a loan deal, and the rumours are floating around, I obviously thought it must have been someone to replace Mitch. But the thing that's got me is if it was for a forward, why have we waited this long? Like we've been calling it, the common fans have been calling it for weeks that we lacked impact. We've been saying all year, when Reg and Junior go off, we lack impact. The night season's been done for, 3 or 4 weeks at least. Like guaranteed they can't make it, based on points. So but they've been done for longer than that, let's be honest, since they, lost, 3 or 4 home games, won more than 40 points in a row. But why has our club waited till the deadline day to approach Clemmer is what's really got me confused. You got any thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I think not only Clemmer, I think the same happened with Angus Crichton, being rumoured to come to the club. I guess there was more of that talk of that Isaiah Papalichi kind of replacement next year. And I guess there's a lot of talks. We still don't have an official contract as such for Isaiah Papalichi. So I guess it's an interesting point there. But I don't know if we need to focus on the forwards or the back rowers. But you're right about that. Need that aggression, especially with Nathan Brown being out of the side. I thought David Clemmer was that type of player that might bring that mongrel. Probably give away a few penalties as well, to be honest. But for the most part, do a job, especially in the finals. So a little bit disappointing with the signing. But we've spoken about a few players for a few months now, and it just seems like a little too late, especially past the deadline being.
Yeah, it certainly is 100%. And look, the rumour is the Knights are going to release him. So what's it mean now? He doesn't play football the rest of the year, or does he go to England and then come back? Like it's one of those hard ones. They're obviously approaching their finals as well, but I don't know if it's the Knights playing hardball or once again our recruitment letting us down. While we're talking about recruitment, Ben Hunt, 8 clubs have entered the race for Ben Hunt. Obviously, he's playing halfback. He's on good money at St. George. I don't think he'll get the money he's on at St. George anywhere else anymore. He's obviously a bit more how old is he? He'd have to be 29, 30?
You're asking me, mate. I'd say 30. I'm
going to look that up. He's obviously been around a while.
I'd say 30.
Now, he is...
He's probably 32.
He's 30. He's actually 32. I didn't realize he was that old. Well, he's not going to get 1.4 million. Or whatever he's on there, the crazy money St. George desperately gave him. But we've seen him do the job at hooker, obviously, for Queensland. Is he someone we look to throw the money at? I know we wouldn't give Reid 550,000. So if he's on 1.4 million now, you're going to pay, let's say 900,000. You're going to pay 900,000 for a hooker of Origin standard.
I think, no, I don't think he's around that 900 mil mark. I think he's proven himself, especially this season. His consistency in regards to season's a little bit questionable, but he's still a very good player. I would be going around 700,000. I do think he's worth more than Reid. I think Reid has had a bit of time in the Origin camp in regards to that experience, but Ben Hunt actually being on the field, actually being almost a premiership winner. So
what happened?
Let's not go there. Let's drop the ball on that one. I would say he's around that 700,000. Whether we'll get him, that would be a dream come true for Parra fans. He'd be a missing link for sure, because who knows how long Josh Hodgson will last in 2023. But it's a decision I'd be speaking with the club for sure at that kind of money if he's happy with, say, that 700,000.
And that's the thing. But the situation we're probably going to have is you're probably going to have someone like the Dolphins or someone like the Knights, a little bit more desperate, obviously coming offering a bit more money.
He probably does want to return to Queensland as well. So interesting that you mentioned the Dolphins being.
They're rumoured for everyone, so we may as well throw them in. They said there's 8 clubs chasing, and look, he obviously cops a lot of shit. We know why he cops a lot of shit. He really, I said, let his team down in that big situation. But
I reckon he's the type of man that could take the West Tigers to the finals. Huge call. If he signs with the Tigers, I reckon he could take the West Tigers to the finals.
Yeah, look, I don't know what's going on at the Tigers, but that brings me to my next point. So we'll see what happens with the Hunt situation. I just think the way our club's gone of not paying overs to players, we probably won't be in with a chance based on the fact other clubs are more desperate to play overs. I think the standard we've set with Reid and not offering him the $550,000 or matching it what the Bulldogs gave him was based on his defensive ability. I think we've got Hodgson there as a solid defender, and are kind of relying on him just to stand and deliver and give the ball to Mitch and Dylan. And if Dylan just keeps going the way he is, obviously he's in for a phenomenal season next year as well. Where are we going? There's one more thing we're going to talk about, and it's completely just escaped my mind. No, it hasn't. It's back.
You mentioning Hodgson just made me think of Parramatta just performing these one-on-one strips next year. Josh Hodgson.
Hopefully, I love that. He's the best at it, isn't he?
The one-on-one strip is a great play, and we're seeing it more and more in the game from different players. Sometimes it leads to penalties when there's multiple in the tackle, but that could be a huge advantage for Parramatta next year. That type of
it's a smart player, isn't it? And that's what it is. It's a smart player. Isaiah Papalichi, once again, rumours floating around once again. I've been told he's not going. Straight up, he's not going. He's staying at Parramatta. He's waiting until Parramatta season's finished to negotiate a contract. I don't know how much money he's going to ask, but what I've been told is obviously by the fact he's not going to the Tigers, he knows that Parramatta won't be able to match that deal, but he's happy to stay at Parramatta, wants to be around his mates, and he's enjoying himself in the football he's playing. So watch this space. I know we talk about it every week, but when there's smoke, there's fire, and there's no confirmation coming out, is there?
But if that does happen, do you think we send that kind of Nathan Brown trade over to?
100%. Yeah, they want a player.
If Isaiah Papali'i does backflip on this deal and no substitution happens for the West Tigers, even though it happened for Manly with the Titans with DCE quite a while ago, I think it's pretty unfair. I think it will happen with that Nathan Brown kind of situation.
We want him gone. Yeah.
But if it doesn't, it's pretty unfair. And look, as much as I love Isaiah, if that does happen, he probably should sit out the season due to that type of contract negotiation going wrong.
Yeah, I get it. But I think a lot of it's come down to the coach change as well. And that's going to be the biggest thing in the situation there. He signed for one coach, and obviously there's another coach there. Yeah. We know Maguire's obviously had, when he was there, he's had a fair bit to do with the New Zealand international and the Kiwi squads over the years. So kind of that link there and that player they do look up to. I know Benji's obviously there and involved now. I don't know how much Benji's had to do with us, but I know, like I said, you think there'd be confirmation now, but saying that, we still haven't seen a Reid Mahoney sign a contract for the Bulldogs. They still haven't come out and announced him as a player. Everyone knows he's going. He said he's going. He said he went back fit, but once again, still a bit of a weird situation there. Right, let's move on. This week's game, Parramatta versus Manly. Once again, a Friday night. Gotta love Friday night football. Brookvale Oval. We're actually outsiders. Obviously, based on Mitchell Moses being out. Manly are the favourites. They're all pretty much playing for their season as well, and obviously with all the backlash over the Pride jersey.
Can I interrupt? I'm gonna bring out some very positive points later on, but can I actually add that we were not underdogs going into this game until the announcement of Jacob Arthur? We were actually the $1.85 compared to the $1.95 offered by Manly. As soon as Jake was announced at 4 p.m., I checked the betting at 4:10, and we were the underdogs. So just a point to put out there that the betting companies are basically going, oh, him, and swapped those odds around.
Probably as 97% of Parramatta fans did as well, but we'll get to that part. I realise we've done it again. We've gone forward without looking at our predictions of last week. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to do the old backflip, hopefully like Ice does. Adam's score 31-18. Troy 24-20. Hayden 26-18. And Matt 32-16. Well, Matt gets the points for that one. Yes, he snaked me. Boys' first try scorer, Adam Wonga Blake. Troy Regan Campbell Gillard. Hayden Liam Martin. That's why he went to Panther. He scored a try, but
not the first try.
Matt was Mitchell Moses. So the first try obviously went to Penrith through O'Sullivan, and our first try scorer was Ice. None of the players there scored, so no one gets a point there. Liam Martin scored, but you're not getting it for having a Penrith player score the last. No. All right, Adam, Moses intercept. Who was it that had Moses to kick a 40-20 a few weeks back? Was it me or someone else?
I think you had Moses to kick a 40-20 and a try off the scrum or something like that.
No, I think I had Moses kick a 40-20 into the points. Had him score over a certain amount of points. So, but Moses intercept obviously didn't happen, but kick 2 40-20s. Troy, all ex-Penrith players to score. We didn't get one. Hayden, Moses over 19 tackles. Hang on.
Yeah, no, he ended on about 9. I'll tell you what, Will Penasini was the one making the tackles. I double check. I believe he had over 15. I think he had a really big game.
Moses made 10 tackles and 10 of 12, and Will had 21 tackles, so not bad.
I was thinking of Will.
Yeah, were they on the same side, Moses and Will? No. I was confusing. We changed things around. Let's look at what Opacek made 23 tackles. So it shows they were protecting, obviously, Moses' finger as well in defence in that second half. And the final prediction was a Gutho double from Matt. No, there's no points there. So Matt wins the round. No one can get a point. Gutho got a single, but not a double. All right, back to this week's game. I was said at Brookvale Oval. We'll run through the team quickly. Fullback, Gutherson once again. Wonga's named on the wing with Sivo on the other wing after that move last week. Penasini and Opacek in the centres. Brown and then Arthur at 7. Madison at lock. Lane and Papalichi in the second row. And the front row, once again, of Paulo and Campbell Gillard. And Reid at 9. Bench of Makatoa, Cartwright, Kafusi, and Murata. The 18th man, why does my 18th man always go missing, is Ofiki Ogden. So named at 18th man. And then Parham, Hands, Russell, and El Zarkum. Hands getting closer and closer up the order. His babies have been absolutely killing it in New South Wales Cup. We'll go through the team. Look, obviously the big inclusion, we'll touch on last week, is Opacek coming in the centres as well. I don't think he offers that much in attack, but defensively he's pretty solid out there. And as we've seen, Wonga's is so much better on the wing. The bloke I feel a bit sorry for is Russell. He scored 3 tries in 29 minutes in the round 1 and probably would have had that spot locked down if he didn't take some accidental knees to the ribs. He's struggling to get back into first grade now. You know, look, we had question marks over Sivo when he returned. We said, will Sivo come back the same player? And he's holding down his spot. And obviously that move there, I've got to think, I know they're saying Bailey has an injury, but I've got to think the move to bring Opacek in the centres was purely to get Wonga back to the wing.
Yeah.
And it's obviously no discredit to anything that Russell, whoever else may be playing well in New South Wales Cup, but it just proves defensively they knew something was missing out there. So obviously the rushing in. Opacek once again was solid on the weekend. So
very solid night.
Very solid, 23 tackles. Obviously Arthur named at 7. It's been the talking point. The players have come and rallied around him. Look, he cops a lot of shit. There's no doubt about it. He's only a kid. I'm going to say this now. I feel like if Parramatta keep Arthur at 7 and go on and lose games and don't make the finals, his father's ruined his career. It might seem harsh, but if we don't make the finals, he could go out and be man of the match for the next 5 weeks. If we don't make the finals, the fans will start on him, social media will start on him, which eventually will turn to the media starting on him. We know the media love to bag Paramount. They love nothing more than a headline on game day or a drug bust on game day, whatever they want to call it, like they did a few years ago. They love it. I just don't know. I know in New South Wales Cup, he's been solid. He's only a kid. He's young. He gets all the try assists. He plays well in New South Wales Cup. I don't know if this is his level yet. There's a lot of pressure on his shoulders, but also I'm going to look at it from the other side. Is his dad going out to him, not as his dad, as his coach, or as both, saying, this is your chance. They're bagging you out. They're writing us off already because of you. If you want to make a career for yourself, this is your time to stand up. It's a hard one, isn't it?
It's a very hard one. You make a very, very good point, and you make a valid point about that earlier. You mentioned we need to win at least, 3 out of the 5 games to probably get that final spot compared to other teams. And so much pressure on Jake. We mentioned Mitch probably coming back around 23, 24, so at least 2 games, if not 3 without him. I want to give Jacob Arthur a bit of commend, and I think if he does play, we obviously know he's carrying a sternum injury, which makes it really interesting that he's been named and Gutherson was shown training in the halves. I want to say this. I think that Dylan Brown will play more of a 7, obviously playing a 7, but I think he'll be more of that kicking player. You'll see him run less, things like that. I go back to Jacob's game last year in his debut against the New Zealand Warriors at Magic Round. I posted his try on Instagram. I said, guys, bring this type of energy to Brookvale. Because obviously I was there at Brisbane just a few weeks ago. Everyone booing him. It was really, really, really unfortunate, that situation and what was happening there. You mentioned the media, lots of bagging out over the last couple of months. I think it goes back to April even when he was getting kind of bench spots and being in the media for that sense. But I'll tell you what, I was very critical about last year's game when I felt like the pressure was on against the Roosters. I think it was at Mackay. We lost the game 28-0 with Jacob Arthur starting. And I rewatched the entire game. And I think Jacob Arthur's kicking game for the most part was quite good. And you mentioned it earlier, which is a point I want to bring up. You've seen Isaiah Papalichi and other players contest for the ball. And I think one thing that Parramatta fans and fans of footy are forgetting is that players weren't contesting for the ball last season. Jacob Arthur was putting up the right type of plays, and you mentioned he kills it in reserve grade, but I just think our players have to stand up. And even Regan Campbell-Gillard, for God's sake, if a ball's coming to him, he's got to jump for that ball, just like Isaiah does, and we can turn that into points. I think that some of the criticism he's got, minimal, has been fair, but in regards to the bullying, the harassment, and saying that, look, he's probably not in my 17 as well, but arguably that he's not a first grader is absolute bullshit. And if you go and watch that game against the Warriors last season, I don't think his best game was against the Titans, but the game against the Roosters as well, where people like me had been quite critical of him. I really hope Jake just comes out and kills the haters this week. I really do.
It's interesting you mentioned that game. Obviously, we got beat 28-0 up there in Mackay, but we lost the next game 40-12 with Moses and Brown back in the halves to South Sydney. Yep. We lost the week after 56-10 with Moses and Brown in the halves. So when you look at it that way, I think we're just in a poor run of form, weren't we, in that current time of the year? We turned things around.
But the easy way to do it is everyone going, sack Brad Arthur, and they see the word Arthur and they take that as an easy target. So because we've scored no points and Jake is starting, they go, instead of bagging out Brad, let's bag out Jake. And guys, if you are Parramatta fans, you shouldn't be doing that. And if you are doing that, it's time for you to leave the club.
100%. And that's the thing. He's not playing halfback because he's Jacob Arthur, Brad Arthur's son. He's playing halfback this week because he's our reserve grade halfback. And like anyone, if you're killing it in reserve grade, you deserve an opportunity in first grade when the opportunity comes. Look, if we were carrying a 14 who was able to play halfback, I have no doubts the 14 would be there. The other option, sorry guys if you can hear my whinging German Shepherd, I've currently got her ball and I'm currently playing with it because she just won't shut up. If you look at it, I personally, just based on everything that's happened with Arthur, I don't know mentally if he's going to be up to it. That's the biggest concern I've had. But like I said, it can go the other way as well. Mentally, he can want to prove a point. I personally, I floated the idea, obviously, to you boys at the start of the week as well, is Gutho to 5'8", Parham to fullback. Parham's been a standout in reserve grade. He's been killing all year. He's a game breaker. I don't think we have a game breaker in our team, besides, obviously, Dylan Brown, obviously, outside backs. But from fullback, as much as I love what Gutho does, He's obviously had those 2 ACL injuries. He is starting to slow up a little bit. He's all effort, he's all heart, but we don't really see him make those line breaks and stuff that you can see, your Tedesco's, your Trebojevics and stuff. I feel like
I was ready to buy him on Supercoach this week. As soon as I heard he was getting moved to 5'8", if he was there, I know that he would come up with those line breaks, try assists, things like that. He still comes up with try assists, but
he does come up with try assists, but his final ball is lacking under pressure, probably because he's taken so many shots to the ribs. But it's not bagging out Gutho, but we might see that happen yet, obviously, because we know that Jacob's under injury cloud. And if it does happen, I feel like Parham does deserve his chance. If it's Brad Arthur once again playing mind games, and that has always been going to happen, once again, I think it's stupid because his son's out there copping shit. And not just his son, you don't want that as a player for any player, copping media scrutiny.
Well, there was a game just 5 weeks ago, and I remember Troy saying that he believes it was Troy was the only one. I think me, you, and Maddie said that this team will change. I can't remember if Jake was starting or on the bench, probably on the bench, but he stuck with that team. A lot of criticism throughout the week, and so I don't think it will be mind games unless it comes to the point where tomorrow at training that Jake goes down with a proper injury and ruled out.
Yeah, like I said, if he's carrying an injury, we'll see how he goes tomorrow in the contact session, but. It's one of those ones, I guess we'll wait and see what happens on Friday night, but it's going to be interesting if it goes either way. I wouldn't mind seeing Parham come in the 14, to be honest. If he is carrying injury, it makes sense to have somewhere because at the moment, look, he can put Cartwright to 5'8", but I don't think it's the ideal situation. It puts a lot of pressure on Dylan Brown's game. But that's the thing for me. Dylan Brown needs to step up this week. I know you mentioned it with kicking. It's not just kicking. I've seen it creep in. We know that Moses was carrying some kind of lower leg injury, whether it was a groin or a quad, whatever it was, for weeks. We saw he had that strapping. That's the thing that has impressed me was when Moses has been off, Dylan has seemed to stand up. Well, now he has to stand up. There can't be this, I'll wait for Mitch to do it. He needs to be the mature leader, which seems silly when he's 22. But he's the older half. He's the more experienced half. He's played, 50 first grade games now at least, surely more.
Yeah, more than that, I'd say.
Well, he had that back injury as well. He's had a few injuries, but I don't look up how many Dylan's actually played. But
I'd say I reckon he's around that 73 mark or something like that.
74, impressive.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
there you go. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, it is his moment to stand up and obviously take control of the team. Anything else to add to this week's game? Obviously, we know Manly going to be pretty fired up. They've obviously been copping a fair bit of shit left, right and centre. There's rumours floating around. It's usually the stuff that gets Parramatta at this time of year, that they're a team in trouble and their season's over because everything that's happened. Look, they're sitting 2 points out the 8. They obviously need to win, but, like I said, it's a hard place to go and win football matches, Brookvale, that's for sure.
Yeah, I just want to say that it's been a while since we've been to Brookvale Oval. We haven't won there since 2017. And I'll tell you what, we seem to be breaking these kind of hoodoos of stadiums with this new club. We've got obviously new players for the last couple of years in Regan Campbell-Gillard, Isaiah Papalichi. So, yeah, it's an interesting one because we've got that kind of different squad that's been on the park, haven't really played under the Eels at Brookvale. So, yeah, very hard game to win at, especially Brookie on a Friday night. I expect a big crowd. I expect Manly to... I thought Manly played well for the most part last week. I think they can play a lot better with their 7 players back, but I thought against the Roosters, who should be ready to book a spot in the finals, but they really don't look it. They look a bit shaky. They played quite well under that type of pressure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's get to the boys' bowl predictions. They've obviously phoned them in for us because we haven't mentioned what they've got, have we? No, we just said they're not with us, but they've both got the spicy cough. They were sitting there laughing last week, like, how good is this? We're in a corporate box for the Parramatta Penrith game celebrating Matt's birthday. Well, boys, here's me and Hayden. Here's the outside. Hayden, how's that outside air taste? It's bloody good, isn't it?
Good. Very good outside air.
How good is it to be able to do what you want outside? It's been absolutely fantastic. Anyway, they're locked away and enjoying their isolation life. So enjoy that, boys. You obviously won't be at Brookvale on Friday night. Either will I. I've got the young fella, but Hayden, you'll be there.
Yeah, I'll be there getting behind the boys. I think I'm sitting up the top, actually. I didn't think I could get any seats towards the bottom.
You bought a seat?
Yeah, it's a seat. It's a seated up the top. I think it's part of the new grandstand, actually.
Yeah, right. I love being on the hill at Brookie. It's fantastic. So, all right, Matt's gone 28-16 for his score. Dylan Brown, first try scorer, and an Opacek double. So here I am saying that Opacek isn't our best attacking player, but solid defensively, and he's giving a double. Troy's gone 24-12. Will Penasini, very consistently, first try. Sean Lane, 2 try assists and a try. So you might want to put Sean Lane in your Supercoach team this week if he's correct there. All right, Hayden, what are you going?
I want to ask you a question because this is kind of I haven't got it written down. I've got my score ready to go. Can I ask you what the weather's going to be on Friday night? May I please ask what the weather's going to be?
Look, I know I've got to catch up with football tomorrow night. I've got to play tomorrow at 7 p.m. It's meant to be raining. It says Friday night there's a 50% chance of rain. That's here.
Cold conditions around that 10-degree mark.
Hang on, I actually got Manly saved as one of my favourites. Shows how many times I've been there. It just says I can't get through that far, but it says it's going to be a high of 14, a low of 21. So it doesn't seem like it's going to be too bad tonight.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll stick with it. All right, I think I tipped Penrith last week. Silly me. I tipped Parramatta at Penrith, so that was a good tip for the year. You know what's funny? I actually tipped Parramatta in a video. I said that Parramatta's best win of the season would be at home against Penrith. So I tipped this at the start of the year, but when it actually came to game day, I went against this. So look, I think we win this game. I know it's a very difficult game to win, especially the record at Brookvale and the inconsistency. It's our off week as well, so don't be surprised if our off week continues. But this is a must-win game. It really is. So look, I don't think we win at 13 plus. I don't think any of the boys have tipped 13 plus. I was going to go the same scoreline as Maddie on Monday, but when I changed my tips, I've actually gone with a scoreline of 26 points to 16. So I'm going to go the Eels by 10. I reckon it will take a little while, maybe around 13th minute, let's say, for a try to be scored. And I think it's going to be one of our big men. So I'm actually going to go Junior Paulo, first try scorer. It's a bit of a roughie this week. I think he's about $51. And my bold prediction, I was going to say Jacob Arthur to score a try, but I still think that'll happen. But I'm not going to lock that in. I'm going to say, and this is why I wanted the cold to come into it, I'm going to say that the halftime margin will be either team by 4 points or less. I reckon it will be a really, really grindy first half, but I think into the second half is where we come up with the points.
All right. Well, I'm actually going to go my scoreline of 25-24. Yeah, I reckon it's going to be incredibly close.
I'll get golden point?
No golden point. I'm going to have us to actually be up about 24-12 and then them to come back late to make it 24 all before we kick a field goal at 24 all. My first try scorer is going to be Madison.
Yep.
Once again through the middle. I think it's going to be a game we once again try and play through the middle. Look, this is where it gets difficult. If Jacob plays, I'm giving him the hero moment. Jacob Arthur to kick a field goal to win the game.
Oh.
How good would that be? But
fantastic.
If Jacob doesn't play, I'm changing it up and I'm going Gutho to kick the field goal against Manly at Brookvale, where he still lives. That would also be a great moment for him.
I'll tell you what, your scoreline and what's happening kind of reminds me of that Parramatta and Melbourne game where it went to Golden Point. We went for the field goal opportunity with 24 all and letting that.
I was there, mate. I was there. I was still up there with the. I can gladly say it now. I'm not a married man anymore. It's one of the greatest moments in my life. Up there with the birth of my son, obviously. But look, I think it will be a close game. I think we'll probably get a bit on them, but I think they're going to come back fighting because they're fighting for their season. So close game, obviously. Look, if you can get out there, get out there. It's a fantastic night at Brookvale. Hopefully they've still got the 2 beers for $10, cans on the hill for those that want to have a beer out there on Friday night and try and get the boys home.
Go Parra.